I'm Bob Savakinus. Welcome to our program in a nutshell. Today we have a guest is Lynn Griffith. Lynn spent his early years growing up in Williamsport with an interest in English and the dramatic arts. He has a long resume of theater work. He has over 25 years in theater, dance, entertainment, both behind the scenes and in front of an audience and a stage. He has spent time building sets and set design as well. He's a choreographer, a teacher, a dancer at the Dave Rignacci School of Dance. He's a program assistant with childcare at St. Joseph Center, and he's also the creative director at the Circle of Screams. And as you can see by my shirt, that's what we're here mainly to talk about, is Circle of Screams and the Halloween season. So welcome, Lynn, to our program today.
Well, thank you.
So I guess the simple question I'm going to start off with is, what drove you to get interested in the creative arts process?
Well, growing up in Williamsport, they have a very large arts platform, and I always wanted to try out being on stage. One time, I just happened to come across an advertisement in the newspaper for a local theater group. They're doing a Christmas Carol. I was like, well, let me try this, and then I got bit by the theater bug, and well, I think it was more of an addiction to the audience applause, and that started me off all the way up until now. And that was back when I was 12 or 13 years old, so I was a little one when I started.
Okay. So you've had an interest in that, and now I see that it's kind of morphed a little bit into the horror genre. And obviously, Halloween season's getting close upon us and everything, so what does that mean to you for the horror season, starting up the haunted season?
So that means I won't get any sleep until November.
Okay.
I started this season with like the building of the new season back in March, dealing with the snow and everything. So back when everyone's thinking about Easter, I'm already thinking spooky. Then of course we have crazy rain this year, so that brought us from opening 3 attractions down to just having our manor this year. The rain really killed everything. It was insane. But it's just literally been, day after day, night after night, doing what I can to prepare for the 2021 season, especially after last year's COVID season, as we refer to it.
So I'm going to ask you to tell us a little bit about it's Circle of Screams that we're talking about, which is located at the Circle Drive-In. And in a few episodes past, we talked to Dr. Joe Calabro, the owner of the Circle Drive-In. So again, it sounds like it's another great attraction that once the drive-in season is kind of slowing up or closing down, the haunted season starts up. So run through us for it a little bit, if you can, what the Circle of Screams is all about.
Well, the Circle of Screams this will be our 9th season. We started in 2012. Seasons and years go a little bit different. I get confused sometime with them. But normally we have 3 full-fledged attractions going on, the Haunted Hayride, the Manor, which is my baby, and the Carnival of Fear, which is a clown tent. It's a staple at every haunt. They all need it. And we just keep changing. What makes us a little different from others is my theatrical background. I'm able to help with stunts, bring the characters to life even more so than at an everyday attraction. Bring the audience, engage them, bring them in, show my actors how to really give them that theatrical flair, which people seem to love that. They love being a part of it, even if you're not touching them and grabbing them and throwing them into something, which we don't do. But they love the fact that they still feel like they're living through it. That's why the Manor is my baby, because it's our baby at the haunt with my creative team. We tend to push the limits in there. It's more of the mature atmosphere. You'll see things that you may see in a rated R movie. This year's a little different. Instead of walking up and going through the Manor, I'm taking things in reverse. I like to try different things up there, which is why I love it. It's just an open space, and my mind is what really unleashes everything.
That's the creative process.
And it's a process, all right. But this year we're trying something a little bit different. I have an interactive queue line that, as you're waiting to go through, that's where the scares start. So while you're waiting in the line, just even go up to the attraction, we have 3 different zones in there that are going to hopefully get your adrenaline pumping and get you prepared for what's awaiting for you in the Manor. We used to call it the Delfino Manor. We just shortened it to the Manor because it sounds more menacing. This year, like I said, we're going through the woods first, kind of like in a horror movie. You're lost in the woods, coming across little creatures that get at you, and then you see the cabin in the woods, and just like a true horror, you're like, oh, I'll be safe in there.
Right.
Just beware.
So You started talking a little bit about the winter season and everything like that. So for our audience and even for my own knowledge and everything, run it through a little bit of a cycle. What's it like preparing as far as like auditioning actors, getting props ready, things like that. So as the program director, coordinator of everything at the Circle of Screams, tell us what your role is and how you make these things happen.
I wear many hats. As the creative director for the haunted attraction, I am also human resources, public relations, trainer, set designer, storyline conception artist.
Okay.
My team and I come up with the creatures together, and I do the interviewing, the hiring, the training. I learn new tricks. I teach them to the actors, which is why I'm really glad I have a really good small team, because they're also doing what I do and they're learning new things and bringing it back home to help out. But usually it's the interview process first, because I like to talk to people, get to know them a little bit more, ask them some oddball questions. I personally believe that getting the scare, there's a psychology to it all. And it's not an easy job. Going 4, 5, 6 hours straight, is tiring. Come Sunday, we're exhausted, but they still give their A game even though they're tired. But with my process is, what I do is as soon as we shut down at the end of October, I'm already plotting for the next year. I bring out the notebook. I'll take maybe a week or 2 off, as per my boss. And then I just start coming up with ideas. Meeting with the team usually starts right after Christmas. A week after Christmas is usually when we start meeting together. January, we start just throwing things at each other, preparing for conventions to get more ideas. And then usually in late spring, we start right up. And, from maybe March, mid-April on, we're just coming up with what we can. It's interesting. It's hard to do something different. I like to change things up.
Right.
I get bored. And I feel like if I get bored, my actors are probably bored, the guest is probably bored. So I tend to switch up at least one thing every year to change it all out. I've gone where I've had, changed up whole attractions just because I felt that it was stale. And usually after I explain it to my production team, they're like, okay, we get it. We understand now. I'm like, all right. They just think I'm crazy sometimes.
So as far as the actual haunt itself goes, you've been involved for how many years now? 15 years?
I started in 2014
Okay.
As Dr. Frankenstein.
Okay.
It was interesting because my arm was literally twisted to come up there because I'm a theater boy.
Right.
And I had never thought about doing horror. I love horror. I love the movies, but there was never really a fit for it in theater growing up. We were always taught in drama class that, scary and angry are too easy to do as actors, which, sorry to my teacher, they are hard to do. So my friend Brandy Morris, she literally twisted my arm. I was working at a restaurant as a waiter, and they would come in every week just trying to get me to come up. And she finally twisted my arm enough and literally just laid this, instead of a tip as a waiter, I was left a script and told to be up at the Circle Drive-In. I think it was like at 4 p.m. and I literally got off work at 3:45, didn't even go home, just went right up. I was given an hour to memorize the script, and that started it. And then in 2015, I was playing the character Beetlejuice on the hayride as a tour guide, and I was asked, Dave Castelli, our general manager, saw me giving a motivational speech to the actors one day because it was a particularly rough weekend. You guys can do it, you've got this. And then he pulled me aside and asked me if I would be interested in becoming the creative lead for the haunt, which, little old me was like, yeah, sure, no problem. And then it's like, whoa. After the first couple years, I really got the hang of it, found our niche, and then ran with everything. So this will be my 7th season working for them, 6th season as creative director. Okay. And it's challenging.
So I'm going to be a guest that's going to visit there in the next couple of weeks and everything, couple of days and things like that. What can I expect as far as creatures go? I mean, I'm actually wearing a shirt and I'm going to do a self-promotion for a movie event that I'm involved with. The Beast Comes at Midnight, which is a werewolf movie. So am I going to find a werewolf? Am I going to find a chainsaw stalker? Am I going to find psychological terror or horror? What will I find when I'm going through this event?
Well, normally on my hayride, I do have a special zone that is, if you translate it from German, it means the Forbidden Village, which is my werewolf territory. So unfortunately, you're not going to see the werewolf this year.
All right.
Which, that's okay, because it's a lot of stunt work in that one. But as far as the manor goes, we're bringing all of our previous creatures out to play, as long as I do have the actors to fulfill the roles. You'll see zombies, very typical in a haunted attraction. You'll see the demons, which that's my ultimate favorite to do is demons, because you can do so many different storylines with them. You're going to see creatures that have literally been ripped from the woods. They look like very woodland style, but you'll see. It's hard to explain that creature. But just to say that character has a pretty big role this year.
It's a surprise, and that's what we need.
It's a surprise.
We need
It's definitely a surprise.
Okay. The element of surprise in a haunted attraction makes sense.
And that's why I utilize a lot of actors versus animatronics.
Okay.
Because the animatronics, I know when I'm going through a haunted attraction and I hear the air compressor kick off, I'm like, okay, in about 20 feet, something's coming flying at me, which is why I use actors, because they're stealthy, they're always there, and you can talk to them, and if they're not on their A game, you can get them right back to their A game and no problem with a few nice words. And that's what you're going to see up there is a lot of actors, people that are trained to bring you into our realm. There's no animatronics. We have a couple puppets you might see.
Okay.
But I can't give away too much since we're only doing the manor this year.
Okay.
So you have to come find out.
That's what I hope to do, and I hope our viewers will check it out as well. So we have a haunted attraction happening, and I almost hate to ask the question, but I'm going to have to ask the question because most people are always concerned about our health and safety currently. So what protocols are in place that people will feel more comfortable in coming to your haunted attraction?
Well, I will say one thing, starting off with last year. As soon as we found out what the safety protocols were via the state, I immediately incorporated them into the haunted attraction. Yeah, we had to put up plexiglass for the customers and my actors' safety because at that point there was no vaccine, there was nothing. Which, oddly enough, that created even more of a scare is being behind plexiglass. Not sure how that works, but it did. We sanitized the entire haunted manor after every group went through. One of my characters from last year was a little Spanish grandma demon, and she had a little sprayer, literally following the groups through, spraying down. That was great. So we incorporated as if they saw someone doing it, they'd be like, okay, the actor's actually, that's interesting. We have hand sanitizer for guests before they come in and after they get out. We pulled back from as far as we get in your face because we're known for really turning up the heat with getting in our customer's face, making them feel the dread or whatever is going on in that scene. Right. And we're going to incorporate those again, minus the plexiglass. Reason for that is actually 98% of my actors are vaccinated. I think I have one or two that are not, and they've graciously said that they would wear a mask if they had to. And it's completely up to the artist. We've come up with ideas of how to work the makeup into the mask, right, which I have to give one of my production team members, Greg Osakowitz, kudos on that because he's the one that grabbed a bunch of masks and was trying to figure it out to make sure, what kind of makeup to use, what we can use to adhese stuff to it to make it, part of the face still. But we will be incorporating the sanitization, the social distancing of the groups, as much as we can in the queue line because it's hard to do that. But we are there for safety reasons. All of us, like I said, 98% of us, except for 2, are vaccinated and they're planning on getting their boosters. So will be safe as we can be in this day and age.
But it's great to to hear the safety protocol in place, but then also to realize that we're trying to return back to that normalcy of going to a haunted attraction and being scared, which is normal, right?
Oh, yes.
So let me ask you, what scares you?
Well, I did have a fear of snakes until I went to the Hunters Against Hate convention in Kentucky. An actor from another haunted attraction, as his character, Reverend Jebediah, literally chased me around the entire convention with his pythons. Okay. And by the end of the weekend, I actually had one around my neck. I was petting them until he said he was getting 6 of them to come do this. I was like, no, we're good. I'm good with the 2. We're fine. My biggest fear, other than that, is claustrophobia. I know it's weird. I put claustrophobia items into our attractions in previous years, but I'm just not a big fan. I can't be the one that lays in a coffin and pops out of you. Sorry, folks. That's just not me.
Okay.
But I am claustrophobic, and that's my biggest thing.
So I have a situation for horror attractions that I almost always look for the chainsaw effect. And I've noticed over the years some of the chainsaws are slightly disappearing, and I'm guessing because of either safety regulations or something like that. So my own personal question is there a chainsaw character going to take place at your haunted attraction?
Yes.
Great. I definitely want to go there just to see the chainsaw effect.
Well, honestly, I found I've been to quite a few haunted attractions, and it depends on how you work with the chainsaw. People just can't figure out how to effectively get the scare without touching someone.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've been on attractions where they've actually ran the chainsaw up between my legs or hit me in the back with it.
Right.
You don't need to touch someone to get that. Most people are afraid just by the sound. Like they tense up as soon as they hear that, like, oh no. And then it's the creature chasing them. So it's really on how you present it, I feel. But I've seen it in a few of them. I know a couple larger places like Universal Halloween Horror Nights, they have a chainsaw brigade that chases you through the whole park. So it's not that they're dead, it's just trying to figure out how to get them incorporated into your scenery. Because most people think of Texas Chainsaw Massacre or some other crazy creature. They usually go right for Leatherface. That's what most people think of.
And I think just my own personal thoughts on that is I look at it and I say, like, the Michael Myers character from Halloween or the Jason character from the Friday the 13th or Freddy Krueger and things like that from the Nightmare on Elm Streets. But they're, again, you have a sword, you have a knife or something, but yet with Texas Chainsaw, you actually hear something. Mm-hmm. And to me, I always think that's one of the scarier thoughts in these Halloween events is walking through woods or being a part of it and just hearing that chainsaw start up. And just like, there's more terror coming at you at that point.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my own personal thoughts on it. But background for yourself, though. So where does your arts background and how does it match up so well with what you're currently doing?
Well, a lot of the arts is behind the scenes. And learning the set design and building, makeup artistry, learning how to layer makeup to make it readable from the back or in, like, say if you're set say we were in a set like this where it's very well lit, mm-hmm. the people all the way in the back, all the way in the back of here can see the makeup perfectly fine.
Right.
It really lines up because you can incorporate, it's script. I think it's all relative. You have horror scripting, you have, theatrical scripting. It's literally just a book with words, and you just take with it what you can. And it goes in hand because it gives you the opportunity to teach your actors the proper way of doing something. Because in theater, you always mess up. Always. I don't care if you're a Broadway diva or what. You always are going to have one time where you mess up, and you have to have castmates around you that can just go with the flow, come up with something real quick. And that's what I love about haunted attractions, because there may be a scene where, as the actor, you find it hilarious, but you can't break character. But, if you, hide yourself real quick and have a chuckle, one of your other castmates will see it and be like, and they'll just carry on the scene real quick until you can refocus, which we've had that before. I've had basketball players that are like, oh yeah, I'm so bad. And they actually kind of get mean with the cast. Big bad boy tried to stand up to an actor, everyone just went right for him, and boom, he was done. So it's like the same thing with theater. You can make them laugh, you can make them cry, you can make them scared, and if you can't and our thing is if you can't scare them, make them laugh. Turn it into comedy real quick. If you're not getting that, the factor you want, just flip it.
I'm going to switch gears on you a little bit now, because we talked a lot about the haunted attractions and Halloween and your love of that in the background, in your theater background. You also work at St. Joseph Center, working with children with special needs and everything. Tell us a little bit about what your life is like with that job. It's got to be very challenging.
It is, but I love my job. I started off working at the main center with the residents that are adults, okay. And that was my first time really working, hand in hand with ID, intellectually disabled. They are fabulous people. I personally believe that they're angels on earth. You know, they look at you in a light that no one else does, but they will call you out on some things because they don't have that filter that most people have, which I love that too. It's really heartwarming and to see like joy brought to their face, or see them learn something new, and they have aha moments themselves. Like they have goals and everything, just like the rest of us. They're just a little bit tailored different. But now I work with the children's side, which I absolutely love. We do teach them to prepare them for like pre-kindergarten, kindergarten, and so forth. So it's not just about changing diapers and giving meds. It's about being a part of their daily life. Teaching them colors, numbers, words, letters, getting their interest. And actually, one thing that leads into this is I recently developed my class, or found out my class enjoyed horror. So I found a kid's horror book and started reading to them using voices and everything. So that was awesome. And it's just like watching them like, oh, that looks really cool. Or they'll tell me flat out. I showed them a video of me performing one time, and one of the girls called me out. Like a little 5-year-old child's like, you did it wrong. I'm like, what? How do you know? I saw your face. But it's just, you have to look at life. It's taught me a lot. It's taught me to look at life from different angles. Like when I'm having my worst day, be thankful for what I do have and what I can do, because there's people that are unable to do what I can do. But I love to share all that with them. Like if I go on vacation, I'll show them the pictures, I'll show them the videos, kind of like say, this is amazing, look what this is awesome. It's not even about me at that point, it's about showing them something new.
So I'm going to segue right into something else that we briefly discussed before the program started. I understand that there's a certain character, and you mentioned it briefly, that you did very well, and I think most of our audience would appreciate Beetlejuice. And now I understand you can do a Beetlejuice pretty well, so if you just want to give us a quick demonstration of your acting capabilities as Beetlejuice.
Okay, I can do that.
Not that you're on the spot.
Not on the spot. Hey folks, how's it going? Welcome to Circle of Screams. We open up October 1st, running to October 31st every Friday and Saturday, $20 a person. Come get the crap scared out of you, all right?
So great self-promotion, and also a great voice. Michael Keaton would be proud of you, I believe.
I hope he would be.
So you just gave us the information on the Circle of Screams and everything. So what do you anticipate this year?
I'm anticipating, the entire haunt community, because I'm in a bunch of groups online. We are anticipating record numbers just like last year. Last year was completely and utterly insane.
In spite of the health situation.
In spite of being a pandemic going on.
Your prevention, your preventive measures, I should say.
Well, I feel like part of it was word of mouth, because once the first group went in the first weekend, they saw how well we took, like, the place kind of smelled like hand sanitizer because of all the measures we were taking. So we had to incorporate some fog scent in there just to get rid of it. But once they saw how clean we were, how we were handling everything, how our actors were still achieving the maximum scare tactic they could, word of mouth just went out, and we were like on 3 to 4 hour waits every night. It was insane. Like I was telling my friends, come at the end of the night, you have a less wait. But I'm expecting the same numbers this year, probably even more so. I feel like people are getting out and doing more, even though we do have other variants, but a lot of people are vaccinated. They're waiting for that booster, and they just want to still get out and do something, because so many people's life events were canceled. Right. And that's the sad part. I mean, my wedding was canceled, so it's like, I really want to go and do things.
And that's part of what going to an entertainment venue like the Circle Drive-In that has the movies and and concerts and everything, and now also the Circle of Screams as well. So it's a great opportunity for people to get out there and kind of bring their lives back together again and be able to enjoy a scare, but also spend time together with their friends and family.
Mm-hmm. And we even have events going on all throughout our season this year. Okay. We have the office party that's going on, the massive party up there all weekend long, where we are going to attempt to incorporate some office things into the manor. Okay. Nothing that's going to take away from the horror. We also have the NEPA Film Festival for a weekend. That's always fun, because it's like we have to be louder than the music, which is great.
And then I also believe there'll also be a special screening of a movie called...
The Beast Comes at Midnight?
Nope, that's my movie that I'm currently working on. No,
I'm sorry, I was not
unprepared for this.
The Blood Beast? Is that the series?
100 Acres of Hell.
100 Acres of Hell.
100 Acres
sorry.
of Hell, and the reason I asked that is because I know that's an event that'll be promoted very well, and it's leading almost right into starting up the horror season, if you want
I
to call
believe
it
it
that
is.
then. And from everything that I understand, we may have one of the stars of the movie, Gene Snitsky, former professional wrestler, appearing at the Circle Drive-In as well. So a lot of great opportunities to come out and enjoy horror in several different levels. But I think you're doing a great job at what I've seen up there through the years.
Thank you.
I think it's a great opportunity. It's a great place to go to the drive-in, the Circle Drive-In again. Dr. Joe Calabro is just fantastic to work with. I know he's very charitable in helping nonprofits in our area through the years and everything. So, but it's great to spend some time with you, Lynn, and get to learn about the drive-in, to learn about the Circle of Screams and all that you've accomplished in the last couple of years, starting off as, what character was it again?
My first character was Dr. Frankenstein.
And then it moved to?
Beetlejuice.
And then from Beetlejuice to now, well, you're a professional management person now, program director and everything, so we're not going to do so much.
I don't get to act though anymore. That's the sad part.
Well,
I get to watch them have fun and them come in bragging about the scares they get, and I'm just like, I wish it could be me again. But I enjoy doing my part though. It's more rewarding, I think, because people are like, wow, you're twisted.
well, I'm going to invite our viewers to come up there to the Circle of Screams, see your twisted personality and what it's turned the manor into. Enjoy all the other things that are up there. And where's the information we could find out about the Circle of Screams and the details and everything?
Either follow us on Facebook on Circle of Screams or the Circle Drive-In. We do dual posts. We have www.circleofscreams.com, which will have our updated manor synopsis for this season and for our schedule for this year. And we do run Fridays and Saturdays starting October 1st. The end of the month, we are incorporating Sundays in, and then the final week is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that's going to be, a big blowout.
Well, I want to thank you, Lynn Griffith, for being our guest today. Thank you for the programming events that you do at the drive-in for the Circle of Screams. I know I'm looking forward to going up there and spending some time and getting scared. So
Well, we look forward to scaring you.
thank you. To our viewers, thank you for tuning in to In a Nutshell.